Okay, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum again. Welcome to our third lecture, seminar. We are continuing with the Faith Essentials, Aqidah of Ahl Sunnat wal Jamaat. We are in the third lecture, which the topic is Tawhid and Monotheism of Islam. So it'll be based on Tawhid, this topic. And as you know, Tawhid is the backbone of Islamic Aqidah, belief. Even when a person, embraces Islam, they don't actually say, in the Kalima Shahadat, I believe in God. They say, I testify God is one. So you enter Islam with Tawheed. That is why it is the most significant topic in Islam, Tawheed. And it maybe covers, I can say, 1/4 of the Qur'an, Tawheed. You can open any page in the Qur'an, any page. When you start reading through it, you will see something referring to Tawheed, guaranteed. So, inshallah, we'll begin. Content of this seminar, we will be covering definition of Tawheed as Islamic monotheism, because there are other monotheistic religions, faiths as well, but there is a difference in the understanding of Islamic monotheism. It's quite different. Number two, proofs of for the unity of God, proofs for Tawheed. We will look at Shirk and its types. What types of Shirk are there? Normally, if you ask a Muslim, what is Shirk, they'll say it's assigning partners to Allah. But it's not limited to that. In fact, there are about 5 different types of Shirk. It's not just one. And last one is, how can one creator create everything in the universe and govern all? And dominate, and govern everything in the universe. So we will have a look at that as well. 4 topics. First of all, we'll begin with definition of Tawhid. In Arabic, the term Tawhid means to unify, unification or making something one. Tawhid in Islamic theology, it is a little bit broader, the definition. It is the unity and absolute unification of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as one true creator without any partners. So definition is a little bit more broader there. Allah in the Qur'an, names of Allah are the most mentioned words in the Qur'an. The name Allah, Lafzatullah, is mentioned in the Qur'an 2,153 times. And Rabb is mentioned 1,250 times. They are the most mentioned words in the Quran. At least, as I said before, 1/4 of the entire Quran is about Tawheed. For example, I can cite few verses here. Say, we believe in the revelation which has come down to us and in that which came down to you. Our God and your God is one, and it is to him we bow in submission. So there is you can see, the emphasis on Tawheed there. And one of the most maybe succinct coverage of God's unity of Allah, is in the short chapter of Surah Ikhlas, as you know. Some scholars say, Surah Ikhlas contains the essence of Tawheed. Everything is in there. And as you know, say, Qul huwallahu ahad. He, Allah, the one of absolute unity. Allah, the eternally beside of all. Allahu Samad. Meaning that everything needs Allah. Allah needs nothing. He begets, nor is he begotten. And comparable to him, there is none. So nothing can be compared to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In this very short chapter, as you can see, Tawheed is squeezed in a perfect way. If you open it up, you can write pages and pages of books just on this chapter, in this short chapter. Tawhid in the Sunnah, a man came to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, one day and said, "Give me some information about Islam such that would suffice me, and I should never ask about it to anyone else." The Prophet concisely replied, "Say, I believe in one God, one Allah, and then be upright." This is in Muslim, Sahih Muslim. So the Prophet described Islam in a very short sentence, and he said, "Say, I believe in Allah, and then be upright, righteous person." In the case of those who say, "Our Lord is God," and further stand straight and steadfast, the angels descend upon them from time to time. "Fear you not," they suggest, angels are saying, "nor grieve, but receive the glad tidings of the gardens of bliss, Jannah, the which you were promised." And this is from the Qur'an. It's a verse from the Qur'an. The noble Prophet ﷺ has given a description and definition of Tawhid as well. He said, "There is no deity but Allah, no other deities but Allah. He is one, He has no partner. He is the dominion, He is the praise, He grants life and deals death, and He is living and dies not. All good is in His hand, and He is powerful over all things, and to Him is the return." And this is the prophetic description and definition of unity of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, you might find some of these interesting. There are two types of Tawhid, understanding Tawhid. One is called ordinary appreciation of Tawhid. General, layman, understanding, appreciation of Tawhid. And it's described as this: "The sheer size and wonder of the universe is such that only one supreme being with absolute will, irade, knowledge, ilm, and power, kudra, can create them." So this is ordinary appreciation of Tawhid. When you look at the sheer size of the universe, the complexity there, the perfection there, the harmony, order in the universe, and it's huge, the universe, then you say to yourself, only one all-powerful, supreme, all-knowing being can be the creator of this. And the higher appreciation of Tawhid, there's a higher appreciation. Usually this is done by scholars who hold very high positions, opening a window directly onto the nur of Allah from everything in the universe, and observing and reading the stamp of Allah's Qudra and His governance on everything in the universe. So it is a different approach, isn't it? It means that wherever they look, whatever they study, whatever they see, they always observe the stamp of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on it. Whether they look at the moon, the trees, the plants, the human beings, the animals, everything they look at, these scholars always open a window directly onto the nur of Allah. And they see nur reflecting on that creation. So this is a higher appreciation of Tawhid. According to Bediüzzaman Said Nursi, he says, what is true Tawhid? And he explains, the true affirmation of divine unity, he calls Tawhid al-Haqiqi, is to attain a perpetual awareness of the divine presence and to confirm and believe almost with certainty of seeing that everything emerges from the hand of Allah's power, and that in no way we have any partners or assistants. He has not any partners or assistants in His divinity, uluhiyya, in His ownership, and in His governance, which is rububiyyah. So Bediüzzaman, according to Bediüzzaman, Tawhid al-Hakiki is to attain perpetual awareness of divine presence. What is perpetual awareness? Every second, every moment, every minute of your life, you're aware that He is there, He is watching you, He is seeing you. It's not very easy to attain, is it? So, what are the proofs of Tawheed, unity of Allah? There are a number of arguments in regards to Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but there are four main ones here. Order and harmony, law of interconnectedness, ease in unity, and order in complexity. Four major arguments. We are looking at them one by one now. Order and harmony. If there were in the heavens and the earth other gods besides Allah, there would have been confusion, chaos in both. But glory to Allah, the Lord of the throne, He is high, is He above what they attribute to Him. This is the Qur'an. And the Qur'an clearly mentions an argument for Tawheed here. So the Qur'an is saying if there were other gods than one God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there would be chaos in the universe. And some scholars like Muhasibi and Fahrettin Razi took this from the Qur'an and they put forward the argument of tertib. It's a famous argument. Fahrettin Razi says, if you analyze and study the macro universe and the micro universe, heavens above, and also very tiny little things. Today, we know that such as, quantum physics, and we go into all these little tiny worlds. He says, you will see order and harmony in all of them. They all function with certain order and harmony. When you observe this, he says, you will realize that there is tertib there. Tertib. Tertib means harmony, really, order. And he says tertib indicates to tedbir. So if there's order somewhere, then there is governance. Someone is governing this. Because order does not emerge, by chance. And it does not maintain and continue. If it's all governed, then there must be a governor. So this was the argument of Fahrettin Razi derived from the Qur'an. If there were more than one God, then there would be chaos, as each God would want to exert their sovereignty and will to the universe. There is strikingly perfect order and harmony instead of chaos in the universe. There is also another argument in Islamic Kalam, discourse, Islamic theology, which scholars came up with, and it's called Delil al-Tamanu. The other one was Delil al-Tertib, Tadbir, tertib. But this one is Delil al-Tamanu. It means mutual hindrance. Mutual hindrance means if there were more than one God, one of the gods' sovereignty, power would be cancelled, annulled. And they give this example. They say, if there's a rock on the ground, they say there are two gods, Hasha, and there's a rock on the ground, and one God says to the god, or wills that the rock move to the right, and the other God wills that the rock moves to the left. Three things can occur, the scholars say. If the rock moves to the right, the other God's power is gone, Qudrat. That means that's not a God. Because it's willing and it's not happening. There's no Qudra there. If it moves to the left, this God's power is gone. If it remains stationary, both God's Qudra is annulled. They are not really gods. So there is a mutual hindrance there. But when we look at the universe, we don't see things like that. There is no chaos. Whether we study, our galaxy, the Milky Way, or we study Andromeda galaxy, for 2.4 million years away, we see that they function with the same laws, with same physical laws. So there are physical constants that are the same throughout the universe. They don't change. They're everywhere the same. Like, for example, law of gravity. F equals G m1 times m2 divided by radius squared. You can go and apply this anywhere in the universe. You will see that the system works the same. So, on a macro universe, all right, standard physics. So, what that means is if there is, same laws applicable throughout the universe and everything is functioning with order and harmony, that means there's one governor. Otherwise, there would be chaos, One would say, I want this galaxy to spin this way. The other one would say, I want it to spin that way. So this is called the mutual hindrance argument. Therefore, we have to understand that there is only one governor, one God, one Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who governs the universe through a set of harmonious laws. Harmonious laws. Sometimes people take, when they recite the Qur'an or look at some hadith, in particularly, when you come across mutashabihat, verses, meaning is not clear, because there are muhkam verses in the Qur'an, and there are mutashabihat verses in the Qur'an. The Qur'an says this itself. Muhkam verses are clear, meaning clear. But mutashabihat needs understanding, needs interpretation. And sometimes when you take certain things literally, it might not make sense to you. Some people may say, there are literalist people, they might say, just accept that the Quran says, don't dwell into it. But Islam is a religion of logic as well. Allah creates everything with hikmah. That's one of His names. And Allah creates everything with due measure. Then there has to be logic, there has to be physics, there have to be mathematics everywhere. Inna kulla shay'in khalaqnahu biqadar. We have created everything with due measure, precise measures. So I'll give you one example of a verse where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, before our earth was created, He says that the heavens and the earth were in a state of smoke, meaning gas and dust. Now we know that science confirms this now, because you can have stellar nebula, or you can have galactic nebula. They are made up of dust and gas, which is smoke, as the Quran describes. So if I were to give an example from our sun, our solar system, once upon a time, it was in a state of smoke, gas and dust. And it was spinning. It was a nebula, stellar nebula. Because everything in the universe is just spinning. It was spinning. And then later on, because of the mass, it started pulling itself together, collapsing on itself. What does the Quran say? We told the heavens and the earth, dust and the gas, come together willingly or unwillingly. They said we come together willingly. Now if you take this literally, it is like Allah is talking to the gas and the gas is saying, okay, we're coming. No, the meaning is there. Allah is creating gravity. He's applying the law of gravity there. And the Quran says they had no other option anyway. They have to come together. That is willingly coming together. So as the dust and the gas started squeezing, collapsing onto itself, then we see the formation of the sun at the center, and other gases and dust spinning around it because it's turning. And as it collapses, it starts spinning faster. And one example that we use is There's ice skaters when they perform. When they open their arms like this, they start spinning. As they close their arms, they spin faster. It's laws of physics. That's what happened with the formation of the solar system as well. As it, collapsed onto itself, it started spinning faster, just like an ice skater. And that is the reason why all the planets around the sun are spinning now. They got that momentum from the beginning when they were spinning. And since there is no friction in space, it's a vacuum, that velocity of spin continues. The only thing that slows them down is gravity. The pull of the sun, like with the earth, the pull of the moon and things like that. Those are the only things that can, slow them down. So, as you can see, sometimes with these verses we need interpretation. We need understanding. Because there is some meaning there, very important meaning there. And all of these things working harmoniously indicates to Tawhid, one governance. The other proof is proof of ease in unity. In unity there is ease, in multiplicity there is great difficulty. What does that mean? When we look at life on earth, we see that creatures are brought to life all of a sudden and in abundance. However, whenever something is produced quickly and in large numbers, quality, complexity, and art would be reduced. Isn't that right? For example, building cars, producing cars. If you get a cheap car, for example, I won't name any things here, but maybe in a day they produce like 500 cars. But you go and get a $2 million car or something, maybe they built only one a day or two, something like that, because quality. Everything is carefully done. So when production becomes mass production, quality drops down. But we don't see this in nature, do we? Like, for example, when spring comes, which we are entering now, we are in spring now, as the weather gets warmer, we see suddenly the appearance of millions of flies. Little tiny flies everywhere. Mosquitoes, flies, everything, insects. But so many of them coming into, life, especially during spring. Do you see any loss in quality in them? No. They are all perfectly designed. In fact, you cannot compare, the aerodynamics of a simple common housefly with a, let us say, $1 million jet. Housefly is more complex, more perfect. So we see there is ease in unity. So when we see all of these complex things appearing suddenly, coming into existence, with so much ease, then you say there has to be a unity here. Because if you go into multiplicity, it becomes very difficult to explain. It is like, imagine this, human body, they say our body contains about 86 trillion living cells. 86 trillion, not billion, living cells. Now, the function of each living cell is like a huge biochemical factory. If you don't give it to one governor who controls everything, then you have to give godly, divine powers to each cell. And you have to say each cell knows exactly what it's doing. And each cell, knows perfectly what the other cells are doing in the body, because they have to be working in collaboration, in harmony. See how difficult it becomes? So if we don't give the creation to one creator, as we said, Tawhid, then we have to make up billions of creators. Because when you give everything to one creator, creation of the entire springtime will be easy as creating one fly. It will be the same. There will be no difficulty or ease. It will be the same. Otherwise, explaining it, we will face a very, very difficult situation. So this is another interesting thing, argument, proof of ease in unity. As we said, when we look at creatures, they are created with amazing artistry, complexity with extraordinary quality. Extraordinary quality. Once, you might remember I used that analogy. We have advanced now in our technology in regards to flying machines, yeah? Maybe some times ago in history, they used to put, wings and try to fly. Today we have all these, amazing jet fighters and things like that, very advanced now. But none of them, as I said, can match a fly. And it's very easy to prove, Let's see one plane come and land upside down on the roof like this. The fly does it very easily. You can see the technology on it, biological technology, the magnificent creation there, and all indicates to that one creator. The other argument is, this is the last argument, order in complexity. Observation of creation show that one thing is created from many things, and sometimes many things are created from one thing at the same time. Isn't that right? Like from one sperm cell, a human being is created. Just a single sperm cell. Later on it goes into the ovum, there's fertilization, it starts dividing and multiplying. Yeah? Embryo, fetus, a human being is built. But from many things, one thing is made too. Again, you can use the human body. What are we made up of? Yeah, but what builds them? Like flesh, blood, and all of these things. Sustenance, food. We need them for energy. We need liquids, water. We need air, many different things. But all of these things, think about it, many different things come from many different parts of the world and make up one. That's quite interesting too, isn't it? Now, sometimes I say it in a humorous way, we could, any of us, we could have at the moment like nuts from Brazil in our body, or bananas from Venezuela, Chiquita bananas. So mangoes from Queensland, what I mean? All different parts of the world. All of these things come, you consume them, and they turn into energy, they turn into flesh and blood in your body. It's amazing, isn't it? So from many things, one thing is made. Sometimes from one thing, many things are made. And interestingly, look, cows, for example, think about this. Cows, goat, and animals like that, they consume grass, yeah? Only plants. They produce milk. That's another interesting thing. But human mothers, they consume everything. Meat, bread, various things. They produce milk too, the same thing. And you have, like, for example, although it's not directly relevant, but you have, like coconuts, for example. They have their own milk too inside of it. It's different too. So what we are trying to say is Allah can make the same thing from many things, or from one thing He can make many things as well. And we see this. We see this in physics, we see this in biology, we see this in chemistry. For example, the most simplest atom is hydrogen. And it's the most abundant atom in the universe as well. If you look at the periodic table, it's the first one, H, yeah? And then He, helium, and so on, it goes. 118 elements. But hydrogen, this is what it's saying as well. From one thing, you're making many things. Hydrogen plays a role at the core of stars by forming a nuclear fusion, producing energy, eventually converting into helium. Immense temperatures, millions. Like our sun, the center of our sun is about 15 million degrees. But same hydrogen comes together, bonds with oxygen, it makes water, H2O, same one. So it is millions of degrees there, same thing, and it's water. It's like an extinguisher on the other side. So he's making many things from one thing as well. So this indicates one governor controlling everything, to one governor. Also, as the example that I gave, a similar example, a human being is created from single sperm cell, yet his body, all natural elements are created, many of them are created in the stars. You know that we are, in a way, stardust, human beings, because we have elements in our body. Once upon a time, they were part of a star, actual star. Like iron, for example. Iron can only be produced at the core of stars. But we have iron in our bodies, which means billions of years ago, the iron in our bodies were in the core of a star somewhere in the universe. So only the one who has absolute ownership of the entire universe can do this thing. Malikil Mülk. Some being, some agent with the power to own the entire universe can do something like that and can connect everything in the universe. And that is the example of law of interconnectedness. Everything is interconnected. If there is more than one God, some things in the universe would be independent of each other. You know that in the past, physicists, astronomers thought universe or our, solar system, galaxies, they were all local. Like individual different galaxies, systems, they were all local. They believed in locality. Now they believe that the universe is one unit. Interconnectedness. We can even prove it now. Quantum entanglement. When two photons, let us say, get entangled, two particles, electrons, photons, whatever you can think of, if you separate them by a distance of 1 billion light years, they are still connected somehow, mysteriously. Because if you measure one of them, if it has an upspin, the other one will have a downspin. There's a connection. So entire universe is connected to each other. So only a being who is omnipotent and omniscient, all-powerful and all-knowing, can control all of these things. There is no alternative to oneness of God. And this argument is called interconnectedness. So quickly, I'll go into the definition of shirk now. The opposite of Tawhid is shirk. And it is the only major sin that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not forgive. If you go to the other side, on shirk, with the belief of shirk. If a person is mushrik in this world, still has the opportunity to make tawbah and accept tawhid, as long as that person is alive. But once a person dies on shirk, unforgivable, will never be forgiven. It is the highest of sins. So what is shirk? That is why monotheism is so important in Islam, Tawhid. Shirk, the term shirk in Arabic, means to divide into parts. Lexically, that's what it means. establish partnership, or divide something into shares. Literally. Shirk theologically means associating partners with Allah in a way that violates pure Tawhid. If you associate partners with Allah in a way that violates Tawhid, it is considered as Shirk. Now I'll explain Shirk, how many types as well. Islam is the only religion that clearly defines the concept of Shirk and prohibits it. You won't find these definitions in any other religion. The Qur'an says, He has no partners. Thus have I been commanded, and I am the first and foremost of Muslims who have submitted to Him in devotion. This is attributed to Ibrahim alayhis salam saying this. This helped Islam to remain monotheistic despite its spreads among a diversity of people across centuries. Tawhid, concept of Tawhid was never violated in Islam, although it spread all over the world. So what is types of shirk? You know how I said, people, when you ask them what is shirk, they will only say shirk is assigning partners to God. Yeah? That's the answer. Well, that is shirk in divinity. It's called shirk in uluhiyya. But there are 5 types of shirk. Shirk in atheism. You know that that's shirk as well? So a disbeliever is also a mushrik. Why? He's saying there's no God. Why does he become a mushrik? Because he is giving that creative power to something else. Nature did it. Chances did it. Causality did it. See? So assigning partners to God with nature, with causes. So that's considered still shirk. Shirk in atheism. Shirk in lordship. Rububiyyah. You know that's shirk too. Like for example, deism. What is deism? Deism says, yes, there has to be a creator. We can see all this perfection. But he created the universe. He put some laws there and he left it running by itself. Shirk in rububiyyah, that's what it is. Rububiyyah means governance. Allah is governing everything in the universe. Everything. From the momentum of an electron around the nucleus to stars moving around a black hole at the center of the galaxy. Everything is governed by Allah. Yes, there are laws there, but those laws are implemented by Allah. Laws cannot implement themselves. So there is shirk in lordship too. If you assign natural effects, what we call natural laws, to laws themselves other than Allah, there is shirk in lordship, shirk in rububiyyah, shirk in names and attributes. 4th one. Allah has certain names that no other being could have. Allah has certain attributes that no other being could have. If you assign those names and attributes to some other being, anything, it could be angels, anything, shirk in attributes and names. Like for example, you might find this interesting. If you say it is Azrael, the angel of death, who causes death, it's shirk. No. The angel of death has the duty of collecting the soul. It is Allah who creates death. See? Because the Qur'an says, الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. He creates death and life. Everything is created by Him, not the angels, not the humans, not other beings. So that would be shirk in names and attributes. So that is why certain names cannot be given to human beings. Like you cannot give your son the name Rahman. It's haram, it's forbidden. Rahman belongs to only Allah. No one can be Rahman. You can say Abdur Rahman, the servant of Rahman. But certain names you can give them because they are not zati attributes or selbi or transcendent attributes. They are not connected to transcendent attributes. So there could be shirk in names and attributes as well. And the last one is shirk in worship. Shirk in ubudiyya, ibadat. You know, if you have a, let us say that there are religions like that, they put a statue there. They say we believe in one God, but they stand in front of the statue. And they say, look, we're not praying to the statue, we're praying to God through the statue. But you can broaden this. If you worship money, you worship statues, you know, you worship power. You could worship many things, which is a reality as well. So they become your Lord. They become your Lord. That would be considered as shirk as well. We can continue, inshallah, with the next lecture, next seminar, inshallah.